Hey friends, my name's Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Type in the chat if you think that was 1S or 2S. It was a 75mm rig. And yeah, was it 1S or was it 2S? There's a huge clue towards the end there. And I wonder if you guys can tell. I could tell pretty easily. But yeah, we've talked a lot about what 1S does well, what 2S does well, and like how you should kind of fly 1S, how you should kind of fly 2S. And so yeah, have you been paying attention? My name's Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. I forgot to say that. Welcome to Monday Q&A. And you guys asked for it. I got a bunch of the new Gemfan 35mm props that work with the Betaflight Meteor 65 Pro frame. And I'm going to do an entire build with them. I have this backup 2G4 AIO. Why is the dog outside? Jesus Christ. Hold on, buddy. I'll let you in. Who let you out there? Come on, Teddy, get in here. What are you doing outside? Get in here. Get inside. Get inside. What are you doing? Get in here. What in the Sam Hill? All right. I think somebody let the dog outside and forgot to let him back in. I can't really talk shit because I've done that a few times. Oh, come on, Canon software. Are you fucking kidding me right now? It's been 4 seconds. Jesus. They need to fix this, man. This is outrageous. It's coming back. It's coming back. Give it a second. Come on, dude, work, please. There it is. All right. Greetings, cretins. What was I saying? It was 1S. Somebody actually got it perfect. It was the Meteor 75 Pro, which is the best of the 75mm. I guess it is 75. It's 75 millimeters motor to motor. That is the most you can get from 1S 75. Like that the flying that you saw at the beginning of the stream, that's as good as it gets as far as 1S builds on 75mm frames. And it's not good enough. It just isn't. Like, I'm sorry, but it isn't. It was kind of good enough when it was the only option, but 2S is the way. And so, really, like, the only justification that I've got for it is if you have a whole bunch of 1S 450 mAh batteries and you don't want to buy the Tiny Whoop 300 mAh 2S batteries. But you should. You should sell all of your 1S 75mm stuff and change up to 2S. You probably already have an X12 floating around. All you got to do is put a BT 3.0 on it and away you go. And you're going to get significantly more power. It's going to completely open the doors to a ton of different motor options, and you're going to get more efficiency, more runtime. That Meteor 75 Pro is very similar to just like a bind and fly. It has a slightly lighter weight antenna, and I was running the HQ biblades, which is the best setup. And it is the best flying 75mm 1S motor-to-motor rig. When I said that towards the end of that flight footage, there was a huge clue, that clue was a big, like, basically backflip. It wasn't really a power loop because I didn't power loop a thing. It was a big backflip, and then when it sat down into its own prop wash at full throttle, it just wiggle, because it just doesn't have enough power. 1S 75, it just runs out of power. 1S is not enough voltage for rigs that are that heavy. And yeah, it's crazy that like all that time I put into finding the perfect 1S formula. First of all, it's insane that all that time I spent, the right formula is pretty much the Meteor 75 Pro. Not really, because the camera canopy VTX setup on that thing is kind of stupid and a little bit too heavy. The real best setup would be, well, see, it would be the new school Air 65 AIO, the 5-in-1, or the Mobula 6 2024 AIO, because both of those AIOs are slightly undersized and they'll actually fit in the Meteor 75 Pro frame. And then it's the Betaflight 1102 22,000 kV motors, the HQ 45mm props, and the lightest weight antenna. Oh, and so those AIOs have the VTX built in. You're going to run as lightweight of a camera and canopy as you can. My preferred setup there is the old school Mobula 6 canopy and the RunCam Nano 3. RunCam Nano 3 is a discontinued camera, so you know you've got to find your own ultra lightweight camera and canopy option. But that would really be the ultimate setup. It would only be, I think, like 1.5 grams lighter. It would not fix the problems. That rig would still pale in comparison to even a half-ass 2S build. Even like a heavy 2S build would blow that thing out of the water. So yeah, it's 2S is the way. Look at these little tiny magnets that I just got from some other sticker company, since Sticker Mule's CEO lost his goddamn mind. These are going to be available on the website at some point here on Etsy. But if you're desperate for one, just message me. CiottiFPV.com is the website that has all my contact info and all the fun stuff that I'm up to and all the different ways you can support me. There's a link to my Patreon over there. Click it or I'll die. Join the Patreon. It's fun. It's way worth $3 a month. That's only 10 cents a day. You know you got 10 cents a day for this beautiful specimen of, I don't know. There's an Etsy store with lots of fun stuff for sale. There's a Fiverr page where you can work one-on-one with me and take advantage of over 8 years of FPV chocolatey goodness and knowledge, both. Actual knowledge too, not like just dead-ass wrong answers that you'll get from Facebook groups and Reddit. Careful with that. More than 50% of the answers that people give to questions on Reddit and Facebook groups are dead wrong, and I'm not exaggerating that. That is the God's honest truth. I cannot be I can't go into FPV Reddit discussions or FPV Facebook groups anymore. It is just absolutely infuriating. The amount of bad info, and then just the hate from people when you try to correct them and give actual good info. It's insane, and it's ridiculous, and I can't do it. I wish I could, because I've got the good info to give, you know, but I can't do it. It's just brutal. So people have to come on over here and ask the questions live, and we'll discuss them, and you'll get the actual good info. Or you can jump onto CiottiFPV.com, click the Fiverr button, or just hit my contact info and send me a message and say, yo, I want to do a half an hour session. The amount of knowledge that you'll get in a half an hour or an hour-long session from me, you know, it would take you probably 6 months to get that info from these live streams, just because, like, you have very specific questions, right? And, like, yes, there are other people with those same questions, and yes, you can ask a couple questions here and there, but yeah, like, in a half an hour, I can explain things in a way that really, really, really makes sense to you. If you've ever been to, like, any sort of a group class and or had, like, a private instructor, you know exactly what that is. You know, like, if you want to really get good at something fast, you get a private instructor. That's just the way it is. I went to group dance classes all year this year at, like, $10 a pop. And then I got a private instructor on Tuesday nights, every other week, every other Tuesday, and it's absolutely night and day. In like a month and a half, I've learned more from the private instructor than I did almost all year. It's really wild, and it is my pleasure to offer that to you, beautiful bastards. So if you want to learn a lot really fast, I can help you out with that. We can get you flying better in the simulator. We can get you building better with a service called Build Planning. We can get you tuning better, and I can teach you how to tune while we are tuning a couple of your different rigs. So yeah, treat yourself, man. Look, you're worth it. Your time is valuable, and so treat yourself to a early Christmas present, and you're gonna love my nuts. Look at this. This is coconut. It says lip balm on it, but that's stupid. Chapstick, Jesus. Chapstick is a brand, isn't it? That's another brand that we've turned into a noun, verb, adjective, adverb. I don't know. Words. So tonight we're gonna do. You guys asked for it. I didn't want to do this, but if you guys ask for something, I'll sometimes do it. You ever is it just me, or like is it super annoying when you fall off the desk like that? I don't know what it is, but like when my elbow is on a desk and I fall off like that, it makes me feel like the biggest jackass on earth. Is that weird? Does that ever happen to anybody? It's like, oh, good, nobody saw. Whew. If somebody saw my elbow slip off the desk, man, they would judge the shit out of me. Yeah, we're gonna do a 65 Pro framed build, and it's gonna be a full build, so it's gonna take some time. So I know that Monday nights are usually like a full-blown Q&A stream, but if you can, hold your questions until Wednesday-ish. If you want to see this whole build get done. If not, it's fine. I'll get some of the build done tonight. We'll finish it up on Wednesday and rail it around. But yeah, I've done this before. I've done these 65 Pro builds before with the 35mm props. The previous 35mm props that were available from HQ and Gemfan were super heavy and did not perform well at all. And they were one of the biggest problems in terms of those builds when it came to flight performance. Now with these new Gemfan 35mm just one? All right. These new Gemfan biblades and triblades. First of all, there were no biblades available. And so that right there is a massive problem. I bought 2 packs of the biblades and 1 pack of the new triblades. We'll try the triblades, but the biblades are going to be the way to go. We're going to do this build. I'm going to show you how much heavier it is. And then I have a funny feeling we're going to break one of these frames. There are a couple major problems other than the fact that we didn't have good props available with this sort of build. One of them is these 65 Pro frames. They're just not all that durable. They're also heavier than pretty much all of the other 65mm frames. But let's get into it. Let's do it, right? Like, I've got the extra AIO. I've got the extra canopy and camera. I've now got the propellers. I just kind of went ahead and chose the motors because I know what motors this thing is going to need, which are the TinyWhoop 0603 prototype 30,000 kV motors. These propellers are bigger than all of the 30mm props that we're used to on 65mm builds. And so the bigger, heavier, by the prop being bigger, it's going to be more draggy. It's also going to be heavier. With a heavier prop, an 0702 is not going to be the motor. 0702s are perfectly paired with 30 and 31mm props. These propellers are just going to be too big for that motor. I know that because I've done years and years and years and years worth of testing on TinyWhoops. And I just know that 65mm motor-to-motor builds with 1.2-inch props pair perfectly with 0702 motors. 75mm motor-to-motor props, 1.6-inch props, pair perfectly with 0802 motors. 0603 is right in between those. It's a little bit bigger than 0702, a little bit smaller than 0802. So the 603 is the perfect motor for this build. I'm just telling you that. I am not going to test a bunch of different motors with these props, with this build. We are going to slap this together with this setup, and I'm going to show you how it flies. We'll talk about it, and then I'm probably going to pull it apart. If it flies half decent, maybe I'll leave it together because this AIO is just sitting in the drawer as a backup, right? And so it being on this rig, like if I ever need to pull it off the rig, whatever. The build just sits on the shelf, and it's the AIO is sitting in a build rather than sitting in a box, right? So, but if it doesn't fly good, I might pull it apart. We'll see. So that's the plan for tonight. So again, these are prototype motors that Jesse very kindly sent me when we were kind of talking about 603s a lot. Why is this motor not spinning right? I have 2 sets of these motors. What's happening here? Why is this motor all tight? What's the C-clip is not rubbing. I have 2 sets of these motors. All right, I'm going to pull this motor off because I think there's something going on with it. And I've flown both of these sets of motors a bunch. There might be 1 or 2 of these with banged up motor shafts. I'm tempted to put all 8 of these motors on 2 different frames and pull the AIO from one to the other. But instead, what I think I'm going to do is just wing it and we'll spin the motors up in Betaflight and make sure that they're not too banged up, and then off to the races we go. That's got a red dot on it. That's got a red dot on it. That doesn't have a red dot on it. God damn it. I have these motors in the wrong spots. I'm going to swap 2 of these motors in hopes that they'll spin the right direction, and it'll save me 1 second. I have a few of these frames. I'm hoping that this flies half decent, because then I'll put 20, 30, 40, 50 batteries through this build, and see how long these frames last. I have 3 of these frames, 2 blue and 1 green. Yeah, that's the hope. But if it doesn't fly good, it's either just going to sit on the shelf. I'm not going to spend the time putting all those batteries through it. Because yeah, if it doesn't fly good, you shouldn't do this build. Like, sorry, but I understand the want to just like do things to be different. Believe me, I get it. And if that's fun for you, do it. But that's kind of not my deal. And if that's what you're doing, you're not doing it for the best flying rig. You're not in it for to be the best possible pilot that you can be. You're in it to have fun, and flying something wacky and different is fun. And so, you know, me testing it doesn't really do you any good, right? Me spending the time to put 50 batteries through this setup, it doesn't really accomplish anything for you, right? You're not looking for that. I mean, you kind of are, because you want to see somebody that you watch on the internet fly the same thing that you're flying, right? And I get that, and I'll do that on the stream. We'll fly a couple of batteries on the stream, but I'm not then going to go down the rabbit hole and, right, go bananas with the build. I just realized that I was planning on using a 2G4 AIO for this, but it's not going to fit in this frame, is it? God damn it. Okay, so I wanted to use a 2G4 AIO to give this thing the best possible chance of flying good. But this, one of the total pains in the ass of this Meteor 65 Pro frame is that in order to put the bigger propellers on, yep, it ain't gonna fit. In order to put the bigger propellers on, instead of moving the motors out, they just made the ducts bigger. And they just obscured the amount of space that the flight controller has. So I can't use this 2G4 flight controller. So I have to either... I have to, I stole that from Mighty Car Mods. Go subscribe to their channel. It's the least you can do for me being a thieving whore. This is a box from tinywhoop.com. I finally got my HQ ultralight 40mm, 1.5mm motor shafts propellers. I got them in both colors, smoke crotch gray and green. I got a bunch more of the HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 tri-blades. I was really impressed by these propellers. I have all the colors now, smoke crotch gray, pink, and then I previously got green and clear. My clone popper has arrived. Thank God. This is my favorite propeller remover. I got it in the brand new purple color. It's like a dark eggplant purple. They now give you a very cool little cover for it, which is super nice. This is my favorite propeller puller, but be careful with this. The reason why I love this so much is that the fork down here is very thin. The fork being thin means that it's a little bit fragile. Fragile's not the right word. It's not invincible. So don't go hammering on a propeller with this thing. Here's what you want to do. You want to get one of these because for a propeller that's not completely jammed onto a motor, this is amazing. You also want to buy the old school, very first generation prop popper. I forget what it's called. It's on tinywhoop.com. When you're buying that, also buy one of these awesome little things from Custom FPV. That Gen 1 prop puller fits perfectly in this thing, and then it's got two little compartments clockwise and counterclockwise for your extra propellers. This prop popper has a very strong, very thick fork on the bottom. So if you have a propeller that's really jammed onto a motor, this is the one that you use. This is also the one that comes with you when you go out and fly. It is so nice to have one of these when you're out and flying. And then at home, you have your clone popper, or you bring your clone popper with you, but if you have a stubborn prop, you use that old school one. You do not use your clone popper because you will absolutely break one of the forks off if you're sitting there cranking on that clone popper, as a few of us have. This is not a ding on the clone popper. The fact that that fork is super thin is why the clone popper is so amazing. You can much more easily dig it under the propeller in between the motor bell and the prop. And so most of the time that clone popper is amazing and you want one. So there you go. I got a tube of the new T7000 that's not as thick as the old school T7000. Every time I've used the old school T7000 on the stream, you guys have seen me like squeezing the shit out of the tube. It's just it's like E6000 but black. And I think it has less liquid in it, so it's or the liquid evaporates out, so it's a little bit lighter weight when it dries. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, this is the old school one. I'm getting rid of it because it's just super annoying. I would like do a giveaway with it, but it's going to drive you insane, and this tube is like $3 or something. So just get the new formulation of T7000. And then I actually ran out of my E6000, so I snagged another little tube of it. It's clear. It's, I think, a tiny little bit heavier, but whatever. If you want clear, you've got E6000. If you want black, you've got T7000. No big deal. These tubes are super cheap from tinywhoop.com. And then I got a couple of canopies. I got this freestyle canopy for the different HDZero camera that I will try on the AIO5 at some point. I'm going to put this with that camera that's been sitting here. This is the Lux camera, so we will try that at some point. I've been kind of waiting for a mount for it. And then I got this other super cool little mount. I think that's for the pinch cam. It just looked like an interesting mount, and it's 22.5 degrees, so I said, what the hell? I'll snag one. That's my Tiny Whoop order. Let's see what note was left and or what stickers are in here. What's up, Ciotti? Hope you're behaving. So sorry, this one's a day late. Whoop on, bro, Jesse P. It is all good, Jesse. Tiny Whoop orders are always well worth waiting for. What a nice guy, man. I don't even do handwritten notes on orders when you guys order. I just throw shit in a bag. Although usually I throw extra stickers in there. We got a little saddle on a rocket. It says tinywhoop.com. We got these. I love these. I have tons of these, but yeah, these little tiny old school Tiny Whoop stickers. And then we've got a little bird stealing a Tiny Whoop. Very cool. Thank you, Jesse. Support tinywhoop.com, my friends. Really, really, really good stuff. Jesse's a super awesome guy. The OG of all OGs. All right. So this 65 Meteor, I just needed a minute, man. I just needed a minute to hit the reset button on this build. Hey, I've got a 2G4 with channel 4. ESC channel 4 is bad. Anybody want it? It's yours if you want it. Otherwise, I'm going to throw it away. But I feel weird throwing it away. So somebody snag this. Buy something off my Etsy store and leave a note that you want that, and I'll just throw it into the to the package for you. Cool? Do it. I got to get it out of here. Help me clean this desk up, damn Okay, so my options for this Meteor 65S build are the old school Betaflight AIO, which does not have a VTX built in. And then I'm going to have to put the heavier Meteor 65, Meteor 75 canopy camera VTX setup on top, which will need to be soldered, which again is just annoying. What I could do, I have a Meteor 75 that I could just pull apart, unplug the motors, unscrew the center stack, and just drop it in here, which is probably what I'll do, because I don't think I'm ever going to fly that again, if I'm just totally honest. I've got a couple of Mobula 7. I've got two. I've got the one that Cloud Hopper built and sent to me, and then I've got my Mobula 7 1S ELRS set up with the motor swap, with the iGao motors. If I'm going to fly a 1S 75mm rig, it's going to be one of those two. They're lighter, and they're better than that Meteor 75 rig. The Meteor 75 rig that I've got is on RCinPower 1002 22,000s, which are just not as good as the 802 27,000s. And so that is probably what I will do. The other, in doing so, okay, so here is the first thing that I hate about the Meteor 65 Pro builds, is that you can't use a 2G4. You have to use an AIO that is undersized because the ducts are bigger and they push into the area that the AIO sits in. So you are, with this type of a build, you are immediately limited to AIO setups that are heavier and less reliable than the 2G4. Or you have to do an external VTX. You've got to solder it up on both sides. It's just super annoying, right? Like the old school race builds. Nowadays, we've got the Happy Model. We've got the Happy Model Mobula 6 2024. That AIO is undersized. I don't have an extra one of those. We've got the Beta 65 Air AIOs. Those are undersized. Those will work, but they're direct solder, which is super stupid. The third option, and I was gonna wait on this, but today in the mail, the new Meteor 75 Pro showed up, which has the Matrix AIO in it. This is an undersized Air 65 AIO, but apparently it's a little bit thicker, which I think that they did to hopefully help with the UFL breaking off problems. And it's the 5-in-1. So it's got a VTX built in, and then you just slap the camera on top and away you go. I was gonna wait, and on Whoop Wednesday, the live stream was going to be brand new Meteor 75 Pro. Fly, set it up, fly it, review it. But look, since this has motor plugs, the Matrix AIO, what I really love about it is that it has motor plugs. If I do the old school Meteor 75 setup, the old school cross style AIO with the canopy camera VTX combo, this Meteor 65 Pro build that I'm doing here tonight is going to be fat, and I'm almost certainly not going to like the way that it flies. If I open this up right now and unplug the motors and take the camera canopy AIO off of this and drop it into here, it'll be a lot lighter weight. And basically, there's a chance that I will like the way that this thing flies. And then on Wednesday, before the stream, I will take this apart. I will put the AIO camera canopy back into this Meteor 75 Pro frame. and then I can review this. Do I do that? Or do I just not... Do I just never review this as a Meteor 75 Pro? Because I know that 1S is not the way. Let's do this. Let's weigh this. Betaflight, thank you so much for sending this. Very, very cool of you. I did not ask for this build. I asked for the AIO, very specifically. And that's what I thought that they were sending. And then this showed up. So I don't necessarily... I did not make any agreement with them to review this build. I'm assuming that they don't have these AIOs right now to send out. And this is the only way of them sending me this AIO. So I don't really feel bad not reviewing this whole rig. I have reviewed Meteor 75 Pros before, and they're great. It is arguably my favorite Tiny Whoop bind and fly. That's not true. It's my favorite 75mm Tiny Whoop bind and fly. How about that? It really is. This one, with this Matrix AIO, is a little tiny bit lighter. Let's see how much lighter it is. And then I can just say, it's a little bit lighter. It's going to have a little bit better runtime, a little bit better power to rate ratio, but it's still not going to fly anywhere near as good as the 2S rigs. Is that fair? That's fair, right? In the chat, I didn't read anybody's chat names. I do it every single live stream. I'm not doing it tonight. We got a lot to do. Sorry. C. Joe tagged me, though, and says, I may have bought another vehicle. LOL. Would you buy? If you want to talk to me in chat, type CiottiFPV or do a super chat or go to CiottiFPV.com and click the PayPal button if you don't want YouTube to take 30% of your money. If you do a PayPal, make sure that you tag me in the chat and say, CiottiFPV, check your PayPal. Because you deserve a shout out for supporting me. Uriel says, I came for FPV, I stayed for you, learned German learn German languages for dog. Mario Bean says, what's your favorite 65mm motor KV again? I don't really have one. Motor KVs, you know, the higher the KV, to some extent, the more power, but really the more top speed. The RCinPower 0702 29,000 kV motors make the most actual power and grunt. So if you put them with a pitchy propeller, they haul ass. If you put them with like a biblade, they have a ton of acceleration, but then they don't have like the top end speed. Like in versus the Happy Model 40,000 kV 0702s. You put them with a biblade or a low pitch prop, they have tons of power and they have more top speed because they have more RPM. But then you put them with a pitchy propeller and they don't have quite as much grunt. But they're also much more efficient. So I still think that the Happy Model 0702 36,000s, 40,000s, 32,000s are my favorite of all the 65mm motors. But to be honest, like there are a bunch of motors, there are a bunch of 0702s for 65mm rigs that are amazing, and every single one of you will absolutely love the Betaflight 0702 30,000s, the new Newbie Drone 30,000s that come in the V3.1 Hummingbird, the Happy Model 0702s that are north of 32,000 kV, bunch of options there. The RCinPower 0702 29,000, you can't go wrong with any of those motors. They all make more power than you're going to want or need. So you're going to be motor limiting all of those down a little bit. And they're all just awesome. So, like, I'm dead serious when I say this. Buy the ones that are in stock on the website that you're ordering some other stuff from. Or buy the ones that are the color that you like the best. Like, I'm not even kidding. They are all so good that you can straight up, like, green's my favorite color, done. Tiny Whoop Fireflies, good to go. Red's my favorite color, cool. We bleed 32,500s or 40,000s, you're going to love them. Or the RCinPowers. Black is my favorite color, cool. Betaflight 0702 30,000s. All of these motors are amazing. This is the new school 75 Pro, going on the scale. I gotta grab the other rigs to weigh real quick here. And here they are. All right, cool. New school Beta 75, Beta FPV Meteor 75 Pro, 30.3 grams, 30.30. Somebody type that in chat for me, please. The old school Meteor 75 Pro with slightly lighter weight propellers. The one that we just weighed is on these heavy Gemfan tri-blades. This old school one is on the lighter weight HQ biblades, but it's got a much better antenna on it. It's got a little True RC Singularity antenna on it. These are going to cancel each other out. The weight savings of the propellers is going to get canceled out by the extra weight of this awesome little True RC Singularity Ultra Short. This guy is 31 grams exactly, right on the nose. Somebody type that in the chat, please. And then this is basically like the lightest weight 75mm rig with all those same parts. Beta FPV Cross AIO, camera canopy, VTX, again, the True RC Singularity, 1002s, which are roughly the same weight as these 1102s, the Gemfan 1610 biblades, and that's it, really. This guy is, wow, that's a lot lighter, 26.74 grams. Also, this is in the Meteor 75 Air frame, which is where a lot of the weight savings is sort of coming from. So, look, there's not enough of a weight difference between the old Meteor 75 Pro and the new Meteor 75 Pro for me to do an entire live stream reviewing, which one's the new one? Reviewing the new one. It's going to fly 5% better, and you're going to get 5% more runtime. I loved the way that the old school Meteor 75 Pro flew. Back, I mean, that was back before 2S days, but it still flies totally fine. The footage that you were watching at the beginning of the live stream was this. So if you want to know how this is going to fly, just go back. Take these, if you buy one of these, take these propellers off, put these HQ biblades on. They're awesome. They significantly improve the flight experience, and they're better balanced. The best possible antenna setup is the True RC Ultra Short. It's a pain in the ass the way that you have to put it on here, but it's so good. This whip antenna setup on here will eventually go down. Oh no, okay, they fixed it. All right, never mind. Okay, maybe just leave the whip antenna. The previous setup, the whip antenna was too long, and it would always get down to the props and get all mangled. The CP antenna is going to give you better performance, for sure. So if you want better video out of the new Meteor 75 Pro, swap over to this antenna. You're not going to get the Ultra Short, though. Okay, right, so it's not the same VTX mounting. The antenna is just plugging into the AIO. So do not get the Ultra Short. It won't be long enough. You're going to get like there's the Ultra Short, and then there's just a bunch of True RC Singularities in different lengths. Get the shortest length, and that'll be right for the new Meteor 75 Pro. Or get a Micro V. A Micro V will work perfectly on this. And it'll be a little bit lighter than this guy. It won't be quite as good performance. This is the best performing antenna. This is the antenna that long range guys run. And so that would be my upgrade path on the new Meteor 75 Pro. It already comes with the 1102 motors. I'm going to assume that they're 22,000 kV. They sure are. So these are my favorite motors for a 75mm rig. In theory, this AIO is good. You could find a lighter weight canopy. You could do like the G-string canopy setup to save a little bit of weight. Am I gonna do that on this 65 Pro setup? Yes, because I have one right over there. So there you go. There's your review of the new Meteor 75 Pro. It flies really good, man. It really does. I'm so impressed by the Meteor 75 Pro. The big thing that I didn't like about the old school Meteor 75 Pro is that the VTX is super fragile. I have had 2 of these VTXs fail within like 50 batteries, probably closer to like 30 batteries. And so the new one is probably much more durable from a VTX standpoint. So don't buy the old one, basically. So yeah, I'm gonna pull this apart now. And this frame and motor setup, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But is that fair? Any questions about that? This is just because I want to give this 65 Pro setup the best possible chance of being good. Cool? Does that make sense? Everybody still with me? So, yeah, I'm going to use this air canopy. I'm going to pop the camera out of this canopy. I'm assuming it's a CO3 camera. Certainly looks like it. I'll pop it into this G-string canopy. And, yeah, away we shall go. And on Wednesday, we're going to try these 40mm HQ ultralight biblades on a whole bunch of 75mm rigs. 2S, 1S. So, yeah, that's what we'll do on Wednesday. Instead of reviewing something that I've already reviewed. By the way, I have an entire live stream on the old Meteor 75 Pro where I flew the hell out of it. I talked about the upgrades, everything. So if you want a review on this new Meteor 75 Pro, watch that live stream and just ignore the part where the VTX let go. Because pretty much that's not going to happen on this. And just pretend like I'm 5% more excited, because that's really gonna be like the improvement in this new one versus the old one. Cool? Everybody happy? Nobody's happy? Everybody's sad? What are you guys all sad for? You guys aren't sad, you goddamn liars! Okay, so hang on, let me get caught up on chat. I'm asking you guys if you have any questions, and then I'm super behind on chat. Skull901 says, do you have a parts list for the 2S 75mm rig from scratch? Nope, but people ask me that same question on pretty much every single live stream, and then I answer it with Module 7 V3 frame, Happy Model X12 AIO, BT 3.0 connector that you're going to run out the top. Today's Monday. Yesterday's live stream, I showed you how to do that. I did it live for you. Tiny Whoop 300 mAh 2S batteries with the BT 3.0 lead. These new HQ biblade propellers. Is that it? That's it. Whatever camera and canopy you want. For me, it's the old school Mobula 6 canopy with the RunCam Nano 3. That camera is no longer available. That's it. That's the whole build. Super simple. Super straightforward. Moss, if you can't find the X12 AIO, the second build that I have is on the HDLRC Spectre AIO. It's super annoying. The ceramic antenna is in a spot that is probably going to break off, which is not the end of the world. Just replace it with a piece of wire and you're good to go, but it's annoying. And then the motor plugs are in an annoying spot, and you're going to have to grind away at the frame for the motor plugs not to push into the frame. Again, not the end of the world, but just annoying as hell. The Happy Model X12 is drop it in, go. Moss1 says, what's up, buddy? Uriel says, a big thing in mind is ask help. Uriel also says, chapstick, do girls like it? I don't know, maybe. Dronesen says, what's up, man? Hope all is good. Uriel says, your elbows should not knee on the table. Ray's FPV says, bless you just once. And Notice says, so the Pro is just a slightly larger frame that fits slightly larger props. Yep. They took the ducts and they just enlarged them. They didn't move them out. So the 65 Pro and the 75 Pro, they're still 75 millimeters motor to motor. They didn't pull the motors out at all. They just increased the size of the duct, which impedes on the space that normal AIOs need. But then Betaflight said, oh, well, we'll put AIOs that are a little bit smaller in the corners. And that's how they do it. So yeah, that's the Pro frames. The 75 Pro frame is really strong. It's also really heavy, but you get a bigger propeller that makes more thrust, and it flies really, really good. The 65 Pro, previously with not great propeller options, it never flew all that good, and it is heavier. And unfortunately, the frame was not very durable. I broke one very quickly the last time I did one of these builds, and they haven't changed that frame. So I have a feeling that's going to be the big limitation with this setup that we're going to build, but let's find out. I'm going to start pulling this apart while I get caught up on chat. Kevin J, just another Kevin FPV with a $1.99 super chat. Thank you, brother. Very cool of you. Boy, it feels weird to take a bind and fly out of the box and just tear it apart. But I mean, I can always just put it right back together. This frame and motor combo is nothing special. I have this exact same frame and motor combo on that black one that I was just showing you, but it looks cooler because it's the black and red 1102 22,000s and the black frame. So I don't feel bad at all about taking this frame and motor combo apart. But it does feel weird to take a rig right out of the box and not even fly it at all. Right? Just immediately pull it apart. But again, I asked Betaflight, hey, have you done anything about the UFLs breaking off? I would be very interested to try the new Matrix AIO because I've heard from people in my chat that the PCB is thicker, and I'm hoping that means that, yeah. And so, also, I might do an entire live stream about this because it's a big problem. I don't want to do this, but I feel like I have to do it. There's probably going to be an entire live stream, maybe Wednesday, maybe Friday, maybe, I don't know, a week from now, where I sit here with this Matrix AIO, plug a UFL in, unplug the UFL. Plug a UFL in, unplug the UFL. And I think it would be fair to do that 20 times and make sure that the UFL is not going to rip off the board. Because, quite honestly, that is the biggest, and it's a big problem, that is the biggest problem with the Air 65 AIOs, the 4-in-1 and the 5-in-1, is that it's basically a single-use antenna plug-in. You plug your antenna in once, and you do not unplug it. Because if you unplug it, even once, in my case, it will rip the UFL off. And so, to me, that means that that Air AIO, the 4-in-1 and the 5-in-1, are, nobody should buy them. Like, I absolutely hate to say that. Like, Betaflight just sent me something very, free of charge, very, very kind of them. But, like, having to run an external VTX on a brand new AIO, that's insane, right? Like, that's ridiculous. And so, yeah, I don't want to do that because I want an extra AIO to have, to do more testing with and whatnot. But I have to do that, right? Like, this is kind of the deal. I got this for free, and so I'm the guy that needs to do that stress testing, right? I can't rely on you. Well, I mean, if you guys buy one of these Matrix AIOs and you put an antenna on and then you want to change that antenna and the UFL rips off, like, that's great. Come into the chat and tell everybody that. But I can't, like, expect you guys to sit there and do it 20 times, right? The reason why I'm thinking the number 20 is, like, over the lifespan of an AIO, I don't really think you're going to plug and unplug an antenna more than 20 times. Unless you've got some weird setup where you have to unplug the antenna every single time you take the canopy off. Which is not that weird of a setup, right? If you use a true RC singularity antenna and you feed that antenna through this little hole in the canopy, you can't fit the head of that antenna through this. So if you want to take this canopy off, you have to take that antenna off, right? Teddy, what are you doing? You're playing with the box that I just put on the floor? What are you? Are you a dog or are you just a little gremlin that... What is this face that you're making? What's wrong with your face? What's wrong with this dog's face? What do you guys think? Look up. Look at this fluff up here on top of his ears. Hold on. Look at that little extra fluff on the top of his ears. Stop looking at my hand. Look at the camera. There you go. Look at the little... Stop it! Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. No, stop looking at my hand. Look at me. Stop it. Look at my face. Look at my... Nope, not the hand. Look at my face. Look at my face. Yeah. Look at my face. This. Look at this. What's happening up here? He's like, I'm out of here. I can tell you're making fun of me. Oh, Christ on a cracker. Bitterroot says, did you try the Tiny Whoop 2S 300 BT 3.0? Yeah, I've been talking about those batteries for the last like 3 weeks or so. They're brilliant. They've changed the game. That battery is the reason why 1S 75mm is dead. There, I said it. Somebody a couple of weeks ago said in chat, like, now that 1S 75mm is dead, and then they asked a question about 2S, and I was like, I wouldn't say it's dead. It has its uses. It's fucking dead. I'm sorry. It just is. Like, there's just, again, the only reason to run it at this point is that if you already have a whole bunch of 450 mAh 1S batteries. And, like, I'm sorry, but just get rid of them. Sell those batteries now, and use that money to go to 2S. It's so much more fun. It's so much more fun. Do it. You'll thank me afterwards. It's gonna cost you some money, and it's going to take some time, but you're gonna have way more fun. And you're gonna, at the end of it, after you've flown a couple batteries, you're gonna come into the chat and go, "Yeah, you were right. Thank you." Skull says, Ciotti, do a 2S 75mm build from scratch. I've done a couple on the channel, but both of the ones that I have, I've done on the channel. So just go to my channel on YouTube. There's a little magnifying glass. Click it. That'll open a search field, and just search for 2S. You can probably just search for 2S, and you'll find the live streams where I did it. The builds are hysterically simple. You solder on a BT 3.0 battery lead, and you screw everything down, and that's it. So there's, it's a very boring scratch build, if I'm honest. Timon says, I'll take that NAD ESC board, working on SMD repairs for when the stupid tariffs try to kill our hobby. I'll check Etsy tomorrow. Awesome, dude. It is all yours. Striker says, do the cross AIO, mount the VTX under the board, and run a pinch camera on the pinch mount. Pretty much what racers are mostly still running now, and is less than 1 gram heavier. I think 0.7. I've done that build before. It's super annoying. It takes way too much time, and no, I'm not doing it. This is here. This is awesome. This is a new product. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people that want to know about this Matrix AIO, and so this is way better, way easier, and again, it makes a lot of sense. Like the Meteor 75 Pro review is already on a previous live stream. It flies great. It's arguably, it's almost certainly the best 1S 75mm build that there is. Notice says 2G4 fits on the 75 Pro. Probably not, huh? Nope. King Dingling says, do you have an Air or Matrix AIO you can toss in the 65 Pro? So this is back at 10:34 before I formulated this plan. James Thomas says, damn, I'm super late. Kids coming back from college, got your email. Take your time, James. It's all good. Striker says, and what I just suggested is like, compared to the 2G4, chances are the Matrix AIO will be even heavier. Let's weigh the Matrix AIO. So here we go. I'm going to unplug this antenna because I want to weigh this compared to a 2G4. And so this could be the end of this build. This is what on the previous Air AIOs. This is the moment that the UFL ripped off the board. There's really no safe way of doing this. There is no directionality that you can remove this UFL that puts less stress on the UFL port that's soldered to the board. All right, we got one UFL removal without it ripping the UFL off the Matrix board. So it's already better than my previous 5-in-1, the Air 5-in-1. My other two Air, the prototype Air 65 board and the production Air 65 board, I'd known about this problem and I just didn't remove the antennas. I'm just gonna check it real quick. I do notice that they have put a ton of either T7000 or black E6000 or liquid electric tape on this UFL. So yeah, I guess that's their subtle encouragement to not remove the antenna. And I almost didn't remove the antenna, but I realized that, again, on a future live stream, I have to do the stress test. It is unreasonable to buy an AIO that the UFL is a single time use. That's absurd. And so yeah, let's see what the Matrix weighs. I think it'll still be lighter than the 2G4. I can almost guarantee you it'll be lighter than the 2G4. Oh, son of a bitch! The 2G. I removed the antenna because I looked over at the 2G4 and I was like, oh, it doesn't have an antenna on it. There was an antenna on it. But look, on the 2G4, I can remove the antenna and the UFL won't pop off. The 2G4 with a pH 2.0 connector on it, not apples to apples, but pretty damn close. 4.88 grams. The Matrix AIO, wow, 5.12. That could be because it's got the really nice 180 degree BT 2.0 on here. 4.88 versus, call it 4.9 versus 5.1. That's 0.2 of a gram. It doesn't matter. Hey, rubber grommets are in the Matrix. So I guarantee you well, I have a set of rubber grommets. Let's see what they weigh. Watch. 2G4 with a set of rubber grommets is 5.03 grams. So there you go. It's it's a 0.1 gram difference between the 2G4 and the Matrix. And I'll bet you that the pH 2.0 setup is at least 0.1 of a gram lighter than the Matrix AIO. So as far as I'm concerned, the Matrix AIO weighs exactly what the 2G4 weighs. There are a bunch of different versions of the 2G4 that are slightly different weights. This one is the version 3.3. So there you go. The Matrix AIO weighs what the 2G4 weighs. Kind of funny that in order to make a reliable AIO with motor plugs, oh my god, the Matrix also has the lightweight advantage of not having the full USB port on it. So I find it pretty hysterical that in order to make a truly reliable AIO, we've ended up at the exact same weight as the 2G4. It's almost like the gangly son of a bitch knew that the 2G4 was the way forward, and that's the weight of something that's reliable, and you just do that. It's almost like I knew what I was talking about, but that can't be. All the idiots say that I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, and they're obviously right, because, you know, they fly like shit, and their builds look like cancer, and they fly dumb gear that makes no sense. But they scream on the internet, so they must know what they're talking about, right? I just rolled my eyes so hard that it hurt. It like hurt inside my brain. This is me popping the CO3 camera out of this silly canopy setup here. It's not a silly canopy setup. It's just a little bit too heavy. But it's very durable. I'm actually really thinking about when I put the 2S Walksnail rig back together, moving over to this canopy setup, because I wonder if this might be a little bit more durable and it might somehow protect the Walksnail VTXs a little bit more. All of these Walksnail VTXs that have died on me have died with old school Meteor, old school Mobula 6 canopies on them. I don't think it has anything to do with the canopy, but boy, is it getting old having those things blow up. And so that's a thought that I had, you know? I don't know. We'll see. This is a heavier canopy setup. I think it's maybe like a half a gram heavier. In the world of 2S, that really doesn't make much difference, especially with Walksnail. So, yeah, I might go down that road. We'll see. I haven't quite decided yet. Okay. So I'm going to try my best to kind of go through chat while doing the boring parts of this build. This build is all boring. It's just screwing stuff together. When I was going to do it on the 2G4, I was going to put one of these really cool, because the 2G4 is on a PH 2.0 connector, I was going to put one of these really cool Tiny Whoop 180 degree LED bingo bongos on there. This one is white, as you can see. And so I would have been able to like say things like, hey, look, I'm going to use slightly thicker wire gauge because with extra powerful motors, it might actually help a little bit and it doesn't really cost us any extra weight. And then I could be like, hey, here's some soldering tips. But I've done that 10,000 times on these live streams. So yeah, if you have any soldering questions, by all means, ask them. You're not going to get a little tutorial tonight. Sorry. But I have no choice. The 2G4 will not fit in this stupid Meteor 65 Pro frame. That's not very nice. That's not a very nice thing to say. But I said it. YouTube did the thing again, scrolled me down to the bottom, scrolling back up to try to find my place. Max says, putting together a Meteor 65 Pro Walksnail build to fly around my apartment. RCinPower 802 25,000 kV motors, Happy Model Super X HD AIO, GNB 380 mAh 1S battery. Would you recommend biblades or triblades? Buy both and make your own mind up. Propellers are super inexpensive, and it is a very personal choice which propeller you go with. So spend like $4 extra and get both biblades and triblades and make up your own mind. I tend to like biblades, but yeah, like I said, that is a fiercely individual decision. But luckily the props are super cheap. So yeah, take advantage of that. Take advantage of the fact that propellers are so inexpensive. And yeah, make up your own decision. I like to pre-bend these G-string canopies so that they put a little bit less stress on the posts of the frame. So I just kind of sit here with a pair of smooth-jawed pliers and just grab this canopy little by little and just put little bends in it. The clear plastic here turns white when I do that, which is kind of creepy. But when I bolt it down to the frame, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to make all these same angles. So I can either do it here in a controlled way, or I can stress those posts in the frame out a ton. And so I choose to do it this way in hopes that it'll make the frame last longer. Because the frame, with the frame... Oh, Teddy, can you go away with the squeaking noise? It's going to drive people insane. The frame has 16 screws in it. The canopy has 4. And so I would rather have a canopy let go than the frame let go. You know what I mean? The frame letting go is much more work. It's much more of an annoying repair than a canopy blowing up. So there's that. All right, camera is going in. This is a CO3 camera. You guys are going to love it. It's going to look fantastic. I forgot. You can't put this screw in. This screw in the bottom of the Air 65 canopy has to be out for the camera to pass through in here. You have to like kind of even open up the canopy a little bit to get the camera in. It's unbelievable how difficult it is to get the CO3 camera into this G-string canopy when you consider that if you don't get the camera absolutely perfect in there, it slips out of this canopy. Like, it's so difficult to get it in here, but then once it's in here, it like kind of always wants to escape. You would think that like it would just fall into the mount, but it does not. This is the hardest part of this build right here. I think I just got it. These cameras are also not like super durable. Like, I hate pushing on these cameras really hard like this. But I got no choice. Like, I like this canopy because it seems to be the strongest. But boy, is it a son of a bitch to get the camera into it. It's because there's these like notches on it. There we go. All right, so the key with this canopy is that you cannot push the camera too far forward. It's going to go too far forward, and then the little screw that tightens this thing down around the lens of the camera, it won't tighten properly. So when you put the camera in, it's going to go too far forward. You now have to push it back. You'll see what I mean. So you got to push it back so that the lens is going to be gripped by the grippy boy part. That's the technical term for it. Yeah, like, see, the camera goes all the way in, and it's all loose, and even if you tighten this down, it won't clamp down on it enough. You got to back the camera off a little bit. It's hard. This is a super finicky mount, but it seems to be the only one of these ultra lightweight G-string style mounts that I'm gonna start calling this these banana hammock mounts. Hey, somebody remind me of that. This is no longer called the G-string mount. This is now officially called the banana hammock mount. I'm going to forget that, though, so please remind me. Next time I call it the G-string mount, tag me in chat and say, G-string mount, what's that? I thought it was the banana hammock mount. Let's embrace that. Man, I cannot get this damn thing to go back. Let me actually just experiment real quick with cranking the screw down and see maybe if there's a chance that I just wasn't tightening this screw down enough, but like I was tightening it down pretty hard previously. Let's see here. All right, so that's somewhat straight. The other thing that annoys me about this banana hammock mount is that it does not positively locate the camera from a rotation standpoint. And so you just have to kind of like eyeball the rotation of the camera, and you could very easily have the camera rotated a little bit, and boy, will that make you fly like an ass. That is one of the worst things you can do for your flying, is have your camera either be rotated a little bit or yawed a little bit. This is the biggest problem with the fractal frames, and it's why in my opinion, you shouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole, because that is going to happen basically every time you crash. Every time you crash, the camera is going to move on you, and like if you want one surefire way to fly horrible, it's that. Because the more you fly, the better you get at leveling your horizon. And just like in general, if you're ever trying to shoot any gap ever, you're going to have to level the horizon. And so if the camera is off a little bit, every single gap you shoot, you're going to hit the one side of it, because the world being level is not actually level in the camera. So yeah, I had an incredibly difficult time with that. In the outrageous amount of time that I tried to make those frames work. All right, I think I got this straight now, and I'm just gonna crank this screw all the way down until it's plastic on plastic. No, I'm not. I'm gonna take a look at the Air 65 that I've never pulled apart, and I've never taken the camera out of, to see where that one sits. Okay, I think I'm doing this right now. Previously, I'd pushed the camera back a little bit. In the Air 65 Champion that they sent me, the camera popped out the front and it was all loose, and I was like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. You have to push the camera back a bunch. Oh man, I still got the camera is still not. It's still rotated. God damn it! This is now the third time I'm having to unscrew this and try to get this goddamn camera rotated so that it's flat and even. I think what's happening is when I tighten this, it pulls on one side more than the other, and I think it's rotating the camera as I tighten this. So I think I have to rotate the camera so that it's not level, and then when I tighten this, it's gonna... Nope, it's still wrong. Jesus Christ. These banana hammock mounts can go to hell. I really don't like them. Alright. So if I rotate this a little bit in that direction, now when I'm screwing this down, I think that it's going to maybe go level. How is this the hardest part about the build? Nope. God damn it. And you don't want to just go force the camera when this is screwed down. That's a great way to take the lens out of focus, or just straight up break the camera. All right, so okay, so now that's just a little bit off, and now hopefully it'll rotate it so that it's perfectly straight. Please. Really? Come on, man. Fuck it. Oh man, I can't even. Trying really hard to not touch it at all while I'm tightening this up, in case that's what's happening. Okay, it's a tiny little bit off, but I'm over it, and it's pretty close. So we're gonna leave it there. Has anybody else dealt with this? Is this just me? Is it always just me? Striker says, quick question. I'm suspicious of this, but it's stated the Newbie Drone RS AIO that comes on the race spec Hummingbird is 12 amp. Is it true? Yep. If it is, maybe you could run it 2S or on a toothpick. Nope. It is rated for 1S. You cannot. It could be 1,000 amps. If it's only rated for 1S and you put 2S on it, it'll blow up immediately. Go back to the live stream where I built the Newbie Drone toothpick, and you can watch it happen live. You can watch a 1S AIO catch fire live on stream. Uriel says your Schnauzer only understands German in loud way. Mary Bean says I have the same RCinPower 29,000 kV. I don't like them near as much as my Tiny Whoop 26,000 kV. What do you limit the 29,000 kVs to? I don't. They're at 100%. But if you want less power from them, put a motor limit on. You don't even have to do it in Betaflight. You can just land and do the stick command to do it in the OSD. It's called MTR limit. It's in. You're going to go into profile, and then you're going to go into MISC PP, and then you're going to scroll down a bunch. Striker says, and on the 65 Pro, run on ORT or quickly make a linear antenna out of a whip to save half a gram. Hang around with too many racers. I'm weight obsessed now. I should have an ultra lightweight antenna floating around. J Monk says, for long range flying, what is a good ELRS antenna receiver combo? Do I need to upgrade the antenna on my Radiomaster TX12 controller? I don't know anything about that, about any of the Radiomaster controllers really. But the long range guys, most of them run True RC Singularity antennas. The strongest ELRS setup right now is the new Nomad setup. So maybe go that route. And then you can go 900, ELRS 900. Uriel says, about nothing, I came here for FPV, stayed for your personality. Thank you, dude. Demo FPV says, when do you think the stores will switch 75mm to 2S bind and fly? The 2S thing is old school. That's been done, right? That's been they've been doing that forever. So I don't know. I don't know if they will. I would kind of doubt that. I wouldn't be surprised if 2S gets like no love. But you never know. You never do know with this crazy FPV nonsense and these crazy manufacturers that just do weird stuff. I am cutting off the part of the banana hammock mount that comes really close to the UFL antenna. Port. All right. They're doing this from the factory now on all the bind and flies, which is pretty cool. YouTube did the thing again, scrolling back up to try to find my place. Disabled Combat Android says, oh boy, I killed 4 HDZero Whoop lights by ripping the UFL off. Was heartbreaking. Jesus, dude, that's a lot of money. Did you get in touch with HDZero and ask them if they can do something for you? If you haven't, you should. Mario Bean says, what do you motor limit your 29,000 kV? I don't. 29,000 kV is not high enough kV that you would want to motor limit it. The RCinPower motors are just not efficient. I would not want to fly them motor limited. They already don't have enough RPM. They have plenty of grunt, but they don't have enough RPM. And so to motor limit them is going to make that situation even worse. Technically, yes, you're going to get a little bit more efficiency out of them, but they're not a motor for efficiency. They're a motor for mad grunt. If you don't want that mad grunt, do a different motor. If you want more efficiency, do a Happy Model motor. They're the efficiency kings. Even the 40,000 kV Happy Model motors are significantly more efficient than the RCinPower 29,000s. Meteor says, the only time I killed a 2G4 in a crash was while running a G-string canopy. That doesn't protect it enough. Probably not a coincidence. This Beta FPV new school banana hammock canopy holds the camera up really high, and it seems to have helped with that. So yeah, this is the only banana hammock that I'm willing to entertain. Blue Sky FPV says, just wondering what you think is a beat up / finished prop that needs replacing. For me, when they're vibrating, I run props that are pretty banged up. So yeah, I'd probably leave them on too long. Out of a little bit of laziness, but B, out of the fact that every time you take a propeller off and on a motor, it's trying to rip the motor shaft off. Much less so when you remove them with a prop puller, but every single time you push a propeller on, it is trying to break that connection between the motor shaft and the motor bell. So the less often you can swap propellers, the better, in terms of the life of your motors. Okay, cool. So camera is in the mount. It's somewhat straight. Here's how you make an ultra lightweight antenna. You are going to significantly decrease the range of that antenna, but you're going to save, I think it's like 0.3 of a gram, which is not a ton, but it's also not nothing. You take your, and this is also like the lightest weight antenna that you can make. You take your little whip antenna here, you take your flat flush cut snippers, and you cut the shrimp wrap off. The shrimp wrap is about half of the extra weight. So if you don't want to lose video performance, just cut the shrink wrap off here and paint the ugly ground plane, and away you go. All right. If you remove this ground plane, it will significantly reduce the video performance. If you're just gonna fly around your house, you'll probably never notice it. If you're gonna fly it outside and try to like push any kind of tiny whoop range, you'll start to notice it. So yeah, it's up to you. You probably have a whole bunch of these whip antennas floating around, so do this to a couple of them and make your own mind up. You know, do your own testing. Everybody's front and backyard is a little bit different. Some of them might have more 5.8 interference than others. And so here's the shrimp wrap. And it weighs 0.1 of a gram. So we've already made it 0.1 of a gram lighter, which again is not nothing. It's not a lot, but it's not nothing. Flip on your soldering iron. And look, this is the ground plane here. And if you look at the top of the ground plane, see how it goes from brass to almost the color of solder? That's because that is solder. There's a little tiny blob of solder up here connecting this ground plane to the outer part of these antennas, which is a braid, which is the grounding braid. And so all we're going to do is put the tip of our soldering iron right up here, heat this solder up, and then this will just pop right off. The super slick way of doing it that I actually learned from God is to get a pair of spring-loaded tweezers like this, and you're going to clip these to the side of it like that, and then the weight of these is going to pull it right off for you. And so all I now have to do is clean the tip of my soldering iron and just barely touch it up here. It's going to take a second, but it'll heat up that solder and it'll just fall right off. I can't see what I'm doing, and so I'm probably not getting this in quite the right spot, but oh, the hell? Oh, it clamped down onto the active element. I can't see shit. Hold on. Come on, you bastard. Don't make me... Hold on. Let me tin the tip of the soldering iron so that it's just not transferring heat. But all I gotta do is put a little tiny bit of solder on the tip of the soldering iron. Why is the solder not melting? Oh my god, please! Why are you doing this to me? All right. Tin the tip of the soldering iron. There we go. Jesus. And then, you fart bag. Put that on there, and then put the tinned part up in that corner, and it'll magically pop that on off of there, and it'll fall on the floor and melt your carpet. And now we have removed an additional... that's going to be really hot. 0.18 of a gram. So all in, you're saving 0.3 of a gram, which, again, it's not nothing, but it's also arguably not worth the hassle, because you are, again, reducing the range. But hey, you're doing a customization, and it feels good to customize stuff, right? Custom is good. Custom is always better than stock, right? Hold on, there's an extra little blob of solder on here. I just want to get it off real quick. I then add a little bit of weight back by putting a tiny little piece of shrimp wrap up here, just to kind of make it look better and protect the active element a little bit more. There we go. There was just a janky little blob of solder. So yeah, take a tiny little bit of shrimp wrap and cut it real short and just put it on there. And then you'll be done. So a little tiny bit, super thin, real short. This isn't really going to add any weight because I'm cutting it so short. And you'll see when you remove that ground plane, there's a little silver bit here between the black and the active element, and that's just what we want to cover up. No big deal, but it does help. The active element can very easily break right at the little end point there, and this is just like a super easy way to prevent that from happening. So do it. It takes 1 second, and you now have basically like an invincible antenna for all intents and purposes. Cool. All right. So now, and what is cool about this too is that I can now put this antenna on here forever, because this part of the antenna is so skinny that you can feed it through any canopy ever, right? So if you have to take the canopy off, it'll always just pop right through. It doesn't matter what canopy that is, right? So that is kind of nice about this. If you do have one of the old school Air AIOs, what I kind of recommend is doing that with it plugged in. You don't have to unplug it in order to do that. You can. I've done it on the stream before. I've removed that ground plane with the antenna still plugged in. And then, you know, you've got this antenna that you never, ever, ever have to unplug. Put a nice blob of E6000 on here, and your Air AIO will last. It won't die because of this. It won't die because of the UFL getting ripped off. So, arrow on the Meteor 65 Pro frame is going to go backwards, and then we're just going to push this on down. I think this AIO is too big for this frame. Nope, nope, nope. Wow, I was about to throw a royal shit fit. Wow, that is really close. No, it does fit. There is like a fraction of a millimeter of clearance. But that does fit. Okay. Woo! It was about to get heated in here. Striker says, grabbing a race spec newbie drone and 300 mAh packs from Tiny Whoop. If the ELRS doesn't work, I'm sure I can get it replaced. Honestly, for me and what I like, seems like the only viable option. Very cool. Martin Tanley says, building a 75mm 2S digital and was curious on best motors. Have you tried 1003 or 1102? Yeah, 1003s eat the battery. You don't want them, and they're also way too heavy. 1102s are great. They are the most powerful powerful motors that there are. The 1002s, I think, are... you can't go wrong with either one. If you want a little bit more power, the 1102s. If you want it to be a little bit lighter and a little bit more efficient, the 1002s. But they're both phenomenal motors. Close your eyes and point, and you'll love whichever ones you get. Notice says the banana pea. Credit to Rye Bread. The banana pea. That's pretty good. But I like saying banana hammock. Banana hammock to me is hysterical. So I'm gonna stick with banana hammock canopy. But that's good, Rye Bread. Uriel says you curse too much. Like me, no, I'm worse. Disabled Combat Android says they sent me one refurbished for free. I replaced the UFL in one last night. Nice. It's always nice when the UFL breaks off and doesn't rip the trace off with it. But boy, is that rare. It is super rare that you get that lucky. I only got that lucky on the Mobile 6 2024 canopy UFL. That's the only one that's broken off in recent history that didn't take the trace with it. It's now a drift car chasing rig with an antenna direct soldered to it. Yeah, fuck it. I'll just use their screws. It's fine. I was going to use a slightly longer canopy screw, but whatever. This is fine. Banana hammock and CO3 being plugged in to this Matrix AIO. What time is it? Look at that, 11:37. Good to go. If you listened to me earlier when I said, like, I got a lot of work to do tonight, so if you want to see me get this build done, hold your questions until Wednesday, and then held your questions until Wednesday, thank you. That's pretty cool. We're about to be done with this build, and then we can actually fly it. I truly did not think that we would get this done. Now the most frustrating part of all this, which is trying to get the banana hammock canopy screwed down, trying to get a fresh banana hammock screwed down. Once they've been on one of these builds for a while, they're like kind of molded into shape. Even though I kind of bent this into shape with the pliers, this is still a total pain in the ass. And this is the other thing that drives me mad about these hammocks for bananas. But this time I'm going to try to screw the front on first. Last time I did the front screw last. I think the front screw first is a better idea. I'll let you know, and well, you'll know from the amount or lack of cursing. So the front mounting point was somewhat easy to get on there. Now we're trying to do the right side, which is right on top of the UFL. And this is me screwing the screw in between the post and the rubber grommet. Here we go. Here comes the madness. Get in there, you jackass. Right there. Go, 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 go. Yes! Excellent. This is way better. It's way better to do the front screw first, I can already tell you. There's nothing for you guys to see. I'm screwing the screws in, okay? I'm doing nothing magical right now. You are missing nothing from me doing this here. Rather than in front of the bench cam, I promise. Okay, so yeah, now's where the problems start. It's this other side is just a pain in the ass. Like you can get one. I remember this. You can get one side okay, but then the other side just doesn't want to stay where it needs to be. Man, the Mobula 6 canopy is just, it's just so much better. My God. Oh, come on, you bastard. Stay right there. Stay there, stay there, stay there. Ooh. Got it. Gotcha, bitch. All right, now for the rear one. In theory, this shouldn't be a nightmare, but I'll bet you it is. Oh, God, what's happening? Here we go. Okay. Nah, it's fine. Yeah, okay. So screwing the front of the banana hammock in first, for sure the way to go. Absolutely the way to go. I screwed the back in last time, and it was way harder than that. Man, this thing is still hard on these posts, though. It's still really, it bends the posts out a lot, and these posts are not super strong. Yeah, make sure you get these screws buried down as far as you can so that they engage with as much of the post as possible. Cool. All right, we're good though. We got it on there. It's solid. The antennas are running through it, and the ELRS antenna is poking up through there as well. Cool. So we're gonna test the biblades first, and we might, well, let's put the tri-blades on it. I know I'm not going to like the tri-blades, so let's put them on, and then we'll take them off, put the biblades on, and we'll never put the tri-blades back on again. I need high left and high left. All right, cool. So, first test of any new propeller is, will they go onto motors without being drilled out? Although, hold on. Blue Sky says, thanks for the info. I'll run my props a bit longer. Just keep taking out the creases and bends. Yeah. Cheatonian with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, dude. He says, for the 2025 healthcare fund, had one of those days and I want to turn it into something positive for someone else. Cheers. Appreciate what you do. Thank you so much, dude. It sucks that you had a shitty day, but that is life, my friend. Look, if you didn't have shitty days, the good days would not be as good, right? Life is not this. It's not this. It's not this. Life is this. Or for some of us, it is this. For most people, life is this, and then like this, and then like that, right? Like most people will oscillate towards the center, and then they'll have a great day, and they'll have a bad day. One of the really shitty things about depression, anxiety, OCD, mental illness shit is that folks their lives tend to be this, and that's super difficult. The Jamie Ann once described it in the best way that I've ever heard it. She was talking about herself, and she said, yeah, I'm really fun to hang out with when I'm manic. And that's all she had to say. It was, kind of like the way that she said it, right? And yeah, that is a wonderful explanation of depression, but a lot of other things. The props do go on. It's not all the way down, and it's starting to really kind of fight me. What I can say is that much like the Gemfan 1219S's, the hub on these propellers is short. And so when you push these propellers all the way down against the motor bell, the motor shaft is going to stab the shit out of your finger. So prepare to go. Oh man, it hurts. It's like, hold on, no. You can kind of use your thumbnails on either side of it. You risk, now I'm starting to push down too hard on this. I'm going to drill these out. I'm going to say that you're going to want to drill these props out before you put them on. You might not need to, but it's always safer to do that. Oh, the clone popper is so good. Oh, I've missed you, little clone popper. Oh, I love you. You are the best. My little cloney friend. .99mm drill bit, available over on my Etsy store. I can tell you that we don't have to remove a lot of material from these props. I just ran it through one time. I'm not gonna. What I do to drill these props out is keep it spinning and do it once in and out. That's gonna remove a tiny little bit of material. If you want to remove a little bit more material, push it through without rotating it, and then pull it back out without rotating it. You'll see like a little snowstorm of plastic that comes out with it when you do that. That removes more material than when you spin it. When you spin it, it removes barely anything, evidenced by the fact that this thing is still too tight on here. So I'm gonna put it without rotating it in and out. Cool. All the way down without really spinning it, and then you sometimes you have to wiggle it back and forth a little bit, but you'll see when you pop it back out, there'll be like a couple shards of plastic that come out with it. That's what you want, right? That's you like removing a little bit more of the material, and now it's perfect. So yeah, you just need a little bit. And so here's what I mean about the motor shaft sticking up. Look how much that sticks up, yo. That, when you drive that into your finger, it's like, it fucking hurts. It's just like, it's like jarring as shit. Cool, I'm gonna do these other 3 real quick. And then we're gonna throw it into Betaflight, do a super quick little setup, and away we shall go. That prop was actually a lot easier. This one is fighting me a little bit more. Last one. These are pretty close to being perfect. These have the same inner diameter as the 1219S's, where it's like almost perfect, but it's still ever so slightly too tight, in my opinion. Props are cheap. I would rather have them be a little bit too loose, which saves your motors. Motors are more expensive. So yeah. Don't drill all of your props out at once in case you are over drilling them. Drill a set out, put them on the motors, see how long they run before they start flying off the motor shafts, and then decide how much you want to drill them out. There we go. Props in, props in, props in, props in. Cool. Let's put these extra screws away real quick here. All right. Disabled Combat Android says, oh, I didn't get lucky. I had to make a jumper with a whoop wire between the positive pad and the tiny resistor. Wild style. Oh, boy. Good on you for going down that rabbit hole. Jesus. I draw the line there. I'm like, nope. Nope, 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 nope. Too much. Too much. Because, like, what I find happens when you go that deep into it is that it's never going to be that durable again, and then it's just going to end up blowing up. And so it's like I just spent 2 hours doing this, and then I got 5 more batteries with how hard and often I crash before it completely grenaded. What's it weigh? So to get this is about as light as I can do this build, I think. I can't think of a way that I can do this any lighter. To give ourselves a control, this is an ultimate freestyle tiny whoop. 2G 4AIO, Mobile 6 canopy, Runcam Nano 3, ORT Micro V antenna, Cockroach V3 frame, RCinPower 0702s, which basically weigh the same as the Happy Model 0702s. Pretty much all the 0702s weigh about the same. HQ ultralight tri-blades. This is going to be 18-ish grams. 18.3. It's a little bit heavier. The RCinPower motors, I think, are a little tiny bit heavier. So 18.3 grams. That is what a durable, full tilt, powerful ass indoor 65mm freestyle rig weighs. This is as light as you can really get. With a full tilt freestyle build. This is a Mobula 6 2024 version 1 AIO, the direct soldered ones. Happy Model 0702s. Micro V, Mobula 6 canopy, Runcam Nano 3, Gemfan 1210 biblades, and a Newbie Drone Cockroach Lite AF frame. Tear the scale out. This guy is 17.1 grams. Yes, you can do builds that are down into the 16 gram world, but in my experience, they're not as durable. This Meteor 65 Pro build that I've pretty much set up to be as light as I possibly can with good durability. Oh. Wow, it's 20 grams. Right on the nose, it's 20 grams. Yeah, see, I'm sorry, but that's a little too heavy. The frame is heavier because it's bigger. The props are heavier because they're bigger. This AIO weighs exactly... This is a beautiful comparison. This was 18.3 grams. This has a heavier antenna, a heavier canopy, but a slightly lighter weight camera. This has the lightest possible antenna, the bigger frame, the bigger props. The motors are a little bit heavier here, 603s. You can buy 603s in 26,000 kV. They're probably pretty good on this. These 30,000s are prototypes, so you can't get them. So yeah, that's the difference in weight. There is an extra 1.7 grams because of the motors, the frame, and the propellers. And that right there is one of my biggest issues with these Meteor 65 Pro frames, is that you have to run a bigger motor to control the bigger propeller to get you the same flight performance that you get from the regular 65s. In the process of doing that, this becomes 20 grams. And I've flown plenty of 20 gram rigs inside the house. It's a little too heavy. This is what happens when you do an 802 indoor build, and this is why not many people fly those. It's just a little too heavy. Yes, the propellers are ever so slightly bigger, right? 4 millimeters bigger. And so with a bigger propeller, with a bigger frame, it's going to cause slightly more aerodynamic drag, and that's going to make it feel like it's a little bit lighter because it's going to want to turn a little bit more, but it's not enough. The 65s, the regular 65s with 30 millimeter, 31 millimeter props, that is optimized. That is why everybody runs it, because it is like perfectly optimized. This is maybe it'll blow my mind, but this has been the experience that I've had in the past, is that it gains a little bit too much weight. In the same way that the 75s indoors don't make, they're too heavy. Even though the frame and the props and everything is bigger, and that's going to cause more aerodynamic drag, it's still it's just not quite enough. I was hoping that this would be closer to 19 grams. I thought it would be there'd be more of a chance for this to kind of blow me away. Asparagus says, I've got noise in my camera feed and also audible oscillations on my Mobula 6 2024. Would a new motor fix this? I think it's the back left, since I tested using turtle mode. Probably. If you didn't have the noise in the camera feed and the audible oscillations when it was new, then yep, a new motor will probably fix that, unless you banged up something else. When quads start flying weird, the number one thing that will tell 99% of the story is, when did it start? If it started after you full throttled it into a metal pole, there you go. Something happened when you smashed it into the metal pole, right? And so, yeah, you always got to like think back a little bit. When did this start? That is the quickest and easiest and most accurate way to troubleshoot these things. And like, you know, so then the other situation is like, well, it did it right out of the box. Send it back. If you take something out of the box and it's not perfect, send it back. Try to take as much time as you can to make sure that you didn't screw it up. But like, if you get a bind and fly and it doesn't fly right out of the box, put it right the fuck back in that box, and email whoever you bought it from and say, hey, I'm going to need you to either send me a new one or refund me, because this doesn't fly perfect, and it's a bind and fly. I bound it, and now I'm flying it, and it flies like ass, and that's unacceptable. The rigs are supposed to fly properly. It's the manufacturer's responsibility to build these things in a way that they're going to fly properly. So here's a full Betaflight setup for you. It's on 4.5. For the love of God, when you buy something new, unless it's on a super old version of Betaflight, like 4.1, don't update it. Fly the fucking thing. This is on 4.5, that's great. If this is on 4.4, I would probably not update it, because I think 4.4 is still on ELRS 3.0. If you're going to update, have a reason to update. If it comes with 4.3 or 4.2 and your ELRS stuff is on 3.0, you have to update it. So update it. If you don't have to update it, don't. Betaflight has not flown better since 4.3. Unless you're the best pilot in the world, then maybe you notice the difference between 4.3 and 4.4. But from 4.4 to 4.5, it doesn't fly any better. I now remember why I don't put chapstick on much. I fucking hate the way having wax on my face feels. I also hate my lips being all like chappy and then like sitting here and biting at it and getting like that little piece of skin and like ripping it off, and then your lip bleeds and you look like a lunatic on your live stream because you're like Asparagus says, happened as soon as I got it. Never been bothered until now. It sounds like it might be too late to send it back. If you do the turtle mode test and you've got one motor that's vibrating harder than the others, for sure, swap that motor out. Because vibrations cause all kinds of issues. And so, yeah. Oh, son of a bitch. The batteries have not been charging. Okay. It was on storage charge. All right, we're putting it up to 0.9 amps. God damn it, Jim. It's 11:57 and I'm starting to charge the batteries. Great. Let's accelerate the calibrometer first. All right. We are accelerated. Ports tab is good to go because it's a bind and fly. Configurations tab is good to go because it's a bind and fly. I'll change this to say CiottiFPV because I'm a monster and I want you guys to see it say CiottiFPV and subscribe to my channel and like this live stream and join my Patreon. OSD is on, air mode is on. Great. Power and battery. Minimum cell voltage 3.3, warning cell voltage 3.45. That's cool. That'll work. Capacity MAH 300. Scaling is good to go because it's bind and fly. Failsafe. I'm going to change the stage 2 time to 3 seconds because it's a tiny whoop. Who the hell is it going to hurt? This way, if it failsafes, there'll be 3 full seconds that it holds the last input that it got from the transmitter. And hopefully in that 3 seconds, the connection will reconnect and I'll get control again. No need to do presets. PID tuning. It's tuned for a Mobula 75 Pro. This is a weird tuning setup. I can smell it, so that means that low power until first disarm is off. It sure was. I'm going to turn it to on until first arm. I'm going to go up to race band 8, and I'm going to save it. And I'm actually going to reboot this thing because I've never felt like when you do that, it immediately starts working. So hopefully now the VTX will be down in pit mode. Sometimes it just runs on 25 million watts. But hopefully it's all the way down into pit mode. Nope, it's not down into pit mode. It's still running at 25 million watts. So I'm going to get the gangly fan out because I hate when these things smell like that. It can't be good for them. And so let's get the gangly fan going for a little bit of airflow over this thing. Because I gotta wait for the goddamn batteries to charge anyway, so I might as well like do a full Betaflight setup for you and talk about like crash recovery and all that shit while we're waiting for these batteries. Although they're all up to like 4.14 already, so they're getting there. Brent Anderson just tagged me 8,000 times. Why? You didn't even say anything. You just tagged me over and over again. Why? DX says, you sound like dial-up internet when you're screaming. Really? Is the audio being weird? Or is it just because it's clipping? Cheetonian says, I have at least 3 classic original chapstick tubes at any point in time. One in my coat, one on my desk, one somewhere that usually ends up going through the laundry. Notice is a Burt's Bees guy. Yeah, I don't know. I've like, with mental illness, a lot of times come like sensory issues. You know, sounds, smells, stuff like that. This might be my my sensory issue. This PID tune is very odd. I guess this is maybe like a racer style PID tune. They've got a bunch of extra P&I gain, which I hate the way that flies. That flies like really like super sharp. I really like the way, and the footage looks like really jittery and whatnot. So for me, I'm gonna completely reverse this. This is really what I like, is the damping slider to be 0.3 above the tracking slider. That's going to give you better prop wash performance typically, because D-gain is what eats prop wash. It's also going to round everything out. Instead of like, if you're looking at like a black box log and your sticks do this, because they typically do, right? Like, typically when you go to like do a snap roll or something, you jam the stick all the way into the plastic. So what that looks like on the black box log is, right? And in the flight footage, if it perfectly tracks that, which Betaflight tends to do nowadays, it's really like, it's just like, it's just not, it's not pleasing to look at. By adding a bunch of extra D-gain like I'm showing you here, it will more slowly accelerate up and then slowly settle down at that top rate, and it just looks better. It just, yeah, it looks more cinematic. It looks less jittery, less like racy, and more, you know, it just looks better. Sorry. And so yeah, extra D gain. Stick response, feed forward is cranked up pretty good. I don't like the way feed forward looks. Feed forward does the same thing. It makes the footage look kind of jittery, so I'm going to back it off. I'll still leave a little bit of it in at 0.5, but the Dmax is turned way down. Dmax will multiply the D-gain only in the times that you need it. So when the rig goes into prop wash, it'll give you more D-gain. And then when you're just cruising, it'll back itself off and give you the normal amount of D-gain. So you don't get the excess motor heat, but then you get, when you're cruising, you don't get the excess motor heat that D-gain can cause, but when you need D-gain the most, it'll push it up for you. Ah, fuck. Sorry, guys. I just moved the D-Max slider was all the way down here, and I just boosted it up to 1.2. Drift wobble, I-gains. Lately I've been moving this up to 1.1. I-gains are incredibly difficult to tune because you could do this, you could do that, and it would basically fly exactly the same. So it doesn't really matter, but yeah, 1.1, whatever. Pitch damping. I love that there's extra pitch damping. I'm a little confused as to why there's not more pitch tracking. So the tune that this came with, the damping slider for all the D-gain was significantly lower than the tracking slider for all of the P&I gains. But then on pitch, they're doing the complete opposite. And they're giving the pitch axis a bunch of extra D-gain, and they're taking away some of the P&I gain, which doesn't make any sense to me. I pretty much always run these pitch damping and tracking sliders up here at 1.1. It gives the pitch axis a little bit more pit authority. which makes sense because we run the battery front to back. So every single movement on the pitch axis has more weight that it has to accelerate and decelerate. And so by giving it additional PID gains, it's going to have more authority, more oomph on that pitch axis, which it needs because it's got more weight there. So we could probably push these up to 1.2. Yeah, you know, I'm going to start pushing them up to 1.2. Master multiplier is at 1.0. I love that. I am going to do a... hold on, let's save this. I am going to do a quick preset to add a little bit more jitter reduction. Is it in here? Yeah, it's in Express LRS 250 hertz. This is also going to dial. Am I on 250 or am I on 500? I think I'm on 250, right? Let's check the Minmo. I am on 250. Yes. Cool. So Express LRS 250, and then I like this HD Freestyle preset here, and then I don't check anything else. I don't want it to change anything else. This is a way of getting a little bit of stick smoothing without much, if any, extra noticeable latency. The cinematic is going to give you a little bit more stick smoothing, but with the tiny whoops, I want a little bit less so that there's the tiny little reduction in latency. This HD Freestyle is like a perfect mix for me. And so you're going to pick it, save and reboot. It's going to dump a bunch of stuff into the CLI, which is why it has to reboot like this. And now, if we go back in here, you're going to see that the jitter reduction has increased from 7 to 10. And the jitter reduction is basically just a little bit of stick smoothing. iTerm Relax is up on 15. That's set up for racing. 10 is great for freestyle. 5 is great for cinematic. Anti-gravity is perfect. Don't touch it. Dynamic damping, I like to move it to 30. It doesn't really make much of a difference. The default settings are fine. Motor output limit 100. Great. Dynamic idle, we are going to turn off because it's 1S. Yeah, because it's 1S, and apparently you don't want to use dynamic idle on 1S. Supposedly it can hurt the ESC. Thrust linearization is at 20 by default. I'm going to change it to 10. I don't like it at 20. It's a little bit too much. This boosts the PIDs at 0 throttle. You want it on a little bit. VBAT sag compensation is turned on. I love that. So let's save it. Drop our rates in here. Actual rates are already turned on. 40, 700. Very similar to the stock rates, except for Expo. I run tons of Expo. That's why my flying looks like my flying. And then throttle midpoint, I'm going to take a stab at it and do 0.32. And then I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of Expo. Not really enough to make a super difference because I don't know the midpoint quite yet. And it might not need it. It's probably heavy enough that it won't need a lot of throttle Expo. Save it. Filter settings. A lot of gyro filtering, but they have the gyro low pass 1 dynamic turned off, so this is actually totally fine. There are 3 gyro RPM filters, which is totally unnecessary. Let's turn that down to 1. Dynamic notch filter, 1 single notch, 400Q. What the hell? The max frequency they have all the way down at 300. That is incredibly weird. I'm going to go all the way up to 800 on that. I don't love that. That is strange to have that max frequency down so low. That's really weird. They are only 22,000 kV motors. You know, now I've got 30,000 kV motors, so that's why I'm moving it all the way up to 800. Usually that max frequency is 600, and that covers pretty much all your bases. When I go to a really high kV motor, 30,000 and up, I bring it up to 800 or 900 or even 1,000. When you're filtering up that high, if the filter has to go that high, there's very little delay up there. So you can move that max frequency up quite a bit, and you're really not adding hardly any, if any, additional latency. So, and it's safer to have this max frequency cranked up. So I would say at least crank it up to 600. The dynamic notch filter should not need to go that high, but if it needs to go that high, why not let it, right? The dynamic filter moves. And so, like, if it needs to go up that high real quick, let it. It's not going to cause anything bad. That's weird, that max frequency being all the way down at 300. I've never seen that before. All that being said, Betaflight tunes their rigs pretty good nowadays. So, and I think this has black box on it. So, yeah, I mean, I do things a certain way. They're in theory, they used black box and they had it dialed in pretty good. Whatever. I'm going to do it the way I'm going to do it. This thing might be getting a little hot. Batteries are at 4.32. That's awesome. Okay, Betaflight has shit the bed. Let's relaunch it. Let's power cycle the whoop while we're at it. All right. Back in business. Receiver tab. Let's see how impossible this thing is to bind. Clicking the bind receiver button. Sending bind request. Nothing. No, there we go. Cool. Everything down low, 995, 990, great. Everything up top, 2003, 2006, 2005, great. So we can, first thing we need to do is change the channel map to TAER, and then stick low threshold, we can drop all the way down to 1,000. Stick high threshold, we can go all the way up to 2,000. This will get us a little bit more resolution on the sticks. RC deadband, I always like to set at 4. There's always a little bit of jitter in the gimbals, and that takes care of it at dead center. Everything else can stay the same. Modes, let's turn off angle and put horizon in the aux 2 all the way up switch position. Arm is aux 1 all the way down. That's great. Beeper, I'm going to change from aux 4 to aux 3. It's in the right position here, though. I like that. Black box, let's put it on aux 2 in the all the way down switch position. Flip over after crash. Okay, they had the beeper on aux 4. I was gonna say they have flip over after crash and beeper in the same switch position, which will absolutely not work, but they had one on aux 4 and one on aux 3. I don't do that. I only run 3 switches, so fix that. Launch control, because it's fun. Aux 2 in the middle, and we're good to go. Adjustments, let's put our magical mystery OSD setup on here. You flick enabled on, you go aux 2, you open up the full range, you go to OSD profile selection, and you go to aux 2. This allows you to run a clean, no OSD setup on a certain switch position if you want to like record DVR without ugly OSD all over it. D-Shot 300, bidirectional D-Shots turned on, 12 motor poles, and the motor idle I'm going to move up to 6% now that we've turned off the digital idle, RPM filter idle madness. Let's see what directions the motors will spin. Maybe I put the red dots in the right spots and they'll spin the correct direction. Motor direction wizard, I understand the risks. Wizard, start and spin. They're all spinning. That's a good start. 1 is correct, 2 is incorrect. Let's see if it'll actually reverse properly. Oh my god, it did. Motor 3 is right. That means motor 4 is going to be... That's super weird. Motor 4 is... Only motor 2 was wrong. That is very rare. It's almost always 2 motors that'll be wrong. That is super weird. Whatever. Let's fire them up, see what happens. Cool. We're good. Motors are turning the right direction. OSD, I'm going to dump CLI in to take care of that. Video transmitter, we already did. On until first arm. Race 8, 25 million watts. And black box, we want to put... they've already got set up. Gyro scaled. Great. Let's erase the flash. There's a little bit of a log in there. They might have actually logged this before they sent it. That'd be wild. JMP says, thanks for the great stream tonight. You're certainly welcome. Mutterson says, I make that stuff myself. You wouldn't believe how easy it is. I'd believe it. I believe it. Come on, Black Box. Erase, you slow bastard. Teddy, you're sleeping on the floor back there, eh? Look at that. Look at that gremlin back there. All right, CLI. I'm going to put crash recovery into. I just have a chunk of text and a little notepad over here. It's behind the screen. It's behind me here. And then my analog OSD, I have another big chunk of text from the CLI that I can just copy and paste in. If you want to copy all of that, here it is. I'll put it into the chat. It might work. Probably not. It's probably too big. Yeah, no, too big of a chat comment. Don't run your own OSD, but here I'll give you my crash recovery settings because they work pretty good on most rigs. You should dial in your crash recovery for yourself though. You fly differently, you crash differently, but that's a good starting point there. The default starting point is actually pretty good. Save it, and we are fully set up. Are any of the batteries done yet? Not quite, but they're at 4.34. That's pretty good. Let's put it into ESC configurator and take a look at what it's got. Probably Bluejay 0.2 with... oh, shit. I just over-discharged one of these giant batteries. That was dumb. I left it plugged in. Oh, no, it's good. It's still at 3.8 volts. Wow, these giant batteries are something else. Holy shit. All right. ESC configurator. It's probably on 96 kilohertz Bluejay 0.20, which is silly. I don't like that. I don't like 96K. I think it flies like ass because you lose so much motor braking. But let's take a look. Oh, transmitter's on. All right, transmitter's now off. That should fix it. Yep, sure enough. Why is there an ESC missing? It is indeed on 96. Okay, that's a little worrying. Let's power cycle the rig, unplug battery, unplug USB, replug USB, replug battery, and connect, read settings. Ah, there we go. Okay, great. So this is AX5. Let's see if I have a Bluejay 0.16 AX5. You know what? Screw it. I'm just going to go to the link. And nope, that ain't it. That is it. AX5. Let's see if it's here. AH. I don't think it is. I don't think there are any. Nope, there are no AXs in here. So we can't use my favorite Bluejay 0.16. That's okay though, because it seems like the new version of Bluejay 0.21 is pretty good. And we're going to select 48K for the PWM frequency, and it'll flash all four. So it's normal, reversed. Oh, that's why the one motor was... That's... What the hell is that about? Why do they have only ESC2 on reversed? That's really dumb. I'm actually going to change that, and then I'm going to go back into Betaflight and reverse motor 2, because that's just stupid. This should be... This motor direction should be either normal, 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 reversed, 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 or normal, reversed, normal, reversed. This is just... It's not the end of the world, but this is just stupid. There's just no reason for it to be normal, reversed, normal, normal. That's super weird. Teleport FPV says, have you ever covered soldering techniques? I may have missed it if so. Pretty much every time I solder, I kind of walk you through and give you guys a bunch of tips. And so yeah, loads and loads. Any live streams with me doing like a full-blown build, there are going to be tons of soldering tips in there. But if you have any specific questions, by all means, fire away, and I can help you out. A couple of the biggest tips are get your palm down on the desk, hold the soldering iron like this, and get your palm down on the desk. This is called bone support. If you're muscling your whole arm up in the air, you're going to shake like crazy because you're engaging all these muscles all the way up your arm, even your shoulder muscles. Get your palm down on the desk, and then all you're doing is lifting the soldering iron with your fingers, and it's going to be really, really steady. Always use flux. Get paste flux in a syringe here, and use it on everything. Those 2 tips will take you very far. Bluejay 0.21, 48 kilohertz. Let's go to normal here. Right settings. And then we're going to leave this alone. We're going to change motor timing to medium because Rosser found that to be the best. Turn up the beep strength a little bit because it's really quiet on 65mm rigs. This is the volume of the motor beepers. Beacon delay down to 2 minutes, so if it's sitting for 2 minutes without you putting any inputs into it, it'll start beeping to say, like, hey, idiot, don't let me catch on fire now. Brake on stop, just in case I get it stuck in my hair, it'll stop the props a split second quicker. Right settings. None of those are essential. You can leave all of those alone. It'll be totally fine. There we go. That's it. I do need to go back into Betaflight and change that motor direction, though, because I changed it in the... Well, you know what? Let's see. Oh, wait, no. As soon as I click motor direction, it's going to reset the... hold on. Let me actually see. I'm curious. Why is it not spinning? Oh, I think the startup... I think the motor startup values were too low, maybe. Yeah, I can feel the motor's trying to spin. Okay, so the motor startup values were too low. We got to disconnect from here first. Come on now. Come on. Here we go. Connect. Read settings. Quack. Okay, let's pump these up to... Let's do 1060 and 1140. That'll probably be just enough. Disconnect. Back in here. Motor. And let's spin them up. Let's power cycle this thing. This battery might also be finally going dead. No, it's still at 3.6. It should be fine. Understand the risks. There we go. Now we're talking. All right, now we... So, yeah, let's see. Is motor 2... Yeah, no, it is wrong. I've always kind of wondered if this motor direction wizard changes things in... I always thought no, but this is me double checking. Yeah, the motor direction thing, this wizard changes it in Betaflight and not in the ESC configurator. So now, just by clicking on that, it has now reset all these motors, and what the hell? Motor 2 is still spinning the wrong direction. That's... I don't understand that at all, but whatever. Okay, that's very confusing, but it just doesn't matter because we're ready to fly, and we're going to fly, damn it. Cheatonian says, is the change direction done in Betaflight not the same thing as change direction in ESC config? I don't know now. That was very confusing. What just happened? I don't understand what just happened because I just changed it in the ESC, in ESC configurator, and it didn't do anything. That is super weird. That doesn't make any sense to me. What just happened? But I don't care enough to think about it for even one more second. It's time to fly. Hey, look at that. Let's see if I got everything set up properly. And it will grace us with some beautiful flight. 2 of the batteries just finished. 3 of the batteries just finished. Look at me. I stalled for just the right amount of time. Man, those batteries took a while to charge, yo. That was all cranked all the way up, too. That's okay. That's easier on the batteries. I'm glad that the whoopsters don't go any higher in amps, because, yeah, we torture these poor tiny whoop batteries bad enough when we discharge them. All right, here we go. Let's see what's what. Hopefully the camera is right side up. It is. Hopefully it's level. The quad is not sitting level though. The motor wires are a little jank. Meteor 65 Pro build with Tiny Whoop 0603 prototype 30,000 kV motors and the new Gemfan 35mm props. All right, so back to the drawing board. Who knows what the problem is? You should all know this by now. There's only 4 things that can cause that. First person to get it wins nothing. Martin Tanley with a $5 super chat. He says, thanks for all the tips. You're certainly welcome. Can the AIO5 HDZero handle a 2S? No, it's not 2S at all. If you put 2S to it, it would just catch on fire pretty much immediately. I believe. I don't think it's 2S. Can somebody call me on that? Motor direction is not reversed. There it is. Save and reboot, and now we'll be good. What are the other things that could have been? Chat. There's only 4 things that it can be when that happens. That's a very specific thing. Like that is, if that ever happens to you, you never ever panic. Like that is an easy fix that like everybody runs into at least once. All good. King Dingley says, supposedly they're making a 2S AIO. We should all keep asking for 2S AIO5 so it really happens. That would be dope. All right, first things first, the props are well balanced. That is awesome. So these are the tri-blades. I don't really have high hopes for these. It's just too much. We don't need tri-blades. All right, and so the motors are not spinning down. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. It feels heavy though. I mean, it feels like it's 20 grams. The response time is not bad. These 603 motors are great, in fairness. These 603 30,000s are really, really interesting motors. And they're really just perfect. They're perfect for this. And so, yeah, you see that prop wash in there? Though, that prop wash is because of the tri-blades. Whoa, that's some awful runtime. What's going on with that? I'm getting low battery after 1 minute. So that's going to be another problem with this 20-gram build, is that the runtime is going to be just awful because it's so heavy, right? This might be a candidate for those gigantic batteries from Weebleed. But that's going to even make this thing heavier. Oh, boy. And it's going to then fly even worse. This ain't bad. Nowhere near... Wow, look at that runtime. Yikes. Whoa. That is some... that is some short runtime. Maybe that battery was just hurting. Let's get it off of these tri-blades. I tested the tri-blades. They're too heavy. Done. The biblades will help with the runtime. They will help with the prop wash. They will have even better response time. So, yeah, I knew the tri-blades would not be great, and they were not great. And so we will move on. That is to be expected. We'll weigh some of these propellers in a minute. Let's actually weigh them now. I'm curious as to. And we're just gonna do some comparisons on these. Oh, this clone popper, guys! This clone popper. I'm telling you. So the clone popper is amazing because of the fork. You get this same fork on the new milk bottle prop popper, and it's smaller and cheaper than this. So the clone popper or the new milk bottle looking prop popper they're the best. I'm telling you, they're just the fork, man. The fork is nice and skinny, and it just you take the fork, you put it between the prop and the motor, you just wiggle it ever so slightly. And it's there, and then you put the pin on the motor shaft, and you're good to go. Like, this is perfect. And this is a really cool purple color. It's like a dark eggplant purple. This is a handsome little son of a bitch. Let's weigh some stuff. These 35mm tri-blades, 4 of them, weigh 0.93 of a gram. That's heavy. 0.96 for these tri-blades. In comparison, the Gemfan 1219 tri-blades, which are not the lightest, are 1, 2. Oh God, that's 5,000. 1, 2, 3, 4. 0.72 of a gram. So these 35mm tri-blades are significantly heavier than the 1219S Gemfans. I find the 1219S Gemfans to be a little heavy. I really have fallen in love with the HQ ultralights. 4 of the HQ ultralight 1.2 by 0.9s are 0.69 of a gram. I know that fractions of a gram don't mean a lot, but think about these percentages here. There's a massive difference, percentage change. And so, yeah, these 35mm props are heavy. They just are. Where are the other? Here we go. I want to combine these two bags. Let's check the biblades before I put them on. There we go. Okay, and so let's compare some biblade weights. We're going to compare the Gemfan 1210 biblades. I'll use the 1mm prop versions to be the most accurate I possibly can. So the 35mm biblades, we're going to do these crazy neon ones. High left. I need high right and high right. 35mm biblades, Jesus. They are 0.68 of a gram. So 0.68, that's what we're to put on this rig, versus Gemfan 1210 biblades. 4 of those are 0.70. Is that right? 0.70. I'll be damned. The Gemfan 1210 biblades have a solid hub. The hub is one solid chunk of plastic. These are the Gemfan 1219S hub, which is not a solid hub. That's why these are lighter. That's pretty good. The problem is we now have the HQ, well, not yet, but soon we'll have the HQ ultralight biblades. So 0.68 for these 35mm biblades versus the HQ ultralights, which are 0.51. That is a huge difference. So, again, 35mm props are significantly heavier, and that the between the extra weight and the extra drag from them being bigger, they are not well suited for 702 motors. Thus, the 603 motors on this. And when you go up to a bigger motor, you gain a bunch of weight. And so that's why this thing is... actually, let's re-weigh this now with the lighter props. Although you could probably just do the math. It was 20 grams exactly. And I don't remember what I said for the weights on these propellers. But First, I'm going to need to run the 0.99mm drill bit down them. I do still have a bunch of these 0.99mm drill bits and the 1.5s available on the Etsy store. They are running out fast, though, so if you want them, get an Etsy order in. So I ran it down there twice. Let's see how that fits. Oh, wow, that's still a little too tight. Let me get this off, and I'm going to run it one more time. This thing looks awful with these red motors, light blue frame, and then neon cracked out propellers. It looks terrible like this, but whatever, it's funny. It'll be easier to find the damn thing when I lose it. All right, I ran it through the drill bit one more time. Let's see if that's what it needed. I also spun the drill bit a little bit, which sometimes helps. There we go. Well, that's still fitting a little tight. Ugh, yeah, that's still fitting a little bit tight. So the biblades are a little tighter than its tries. That's weird. That's super weird. So I'm going to put it on, spin it a bunch, spin it both ways, back it out, run it all the way down without spinning it, back out, one more. Let's see how that does. It's still a bit much. I don't like pushing down that hard. All right, spin it. Pull it. Push it. Pull it. Push. Pull. I can feel this one getting a little bit looser. I'm going to go one more. Push. Pull. Props in. This is motor number 1. There we go. I don't know why I did that one the same, but I don't know. It just seemed to remove a little bit more material. The cool thing about the 0.99mm drill bit is that basically you'll feel the propeller loosening up on the drill bit, and like there's just a point where there's a point of like, yeah, it kind of easily goes on and off where it's perfect because it's now 0.99 and the happy model motor shafts are usually like 1mm. And so you can literally like feel it as you're working it, removing the material. And then, yeah, you pretty quickly figure out like exactly where it needs to be. Yeah, those two rear ones are about right. So this is going to perform a lot better now on these biblades. And it wasn't that bad on the tries. It wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad. So this will be okay. It's still kind of going to be heavy. It's going to be like 19.8 grams, I think. Let's see. 19.7. So that's significantly better. I was hoping it would be in the 19s. I was hoping it would be low 19s, but you know, is what it is. I wish you guys could get these 603 30,000s, but I think that the 603 26,000s would be pretty good. I think if you wanted to if you were just desperate to have a different 65mm rig, yeah, I think the 603 26s would be okay. This Matrix board seems okay, right? This Matrix AIO seems good. Oh, hi, Teddy. Oh, I almost Stevie Wondered it. Here we go. New Gemfan 35mm biblades. Whoa. You son of a bitch, you. I was about to say, significantly less power, which I didn't expect, because 30,000 kV is a lot. So, yeah, interesting. Still pretty decent power. Nothing like the 65mm rigs, though. Let's go upstairs real quick. decent power. Oh shit, the dog bowl. Please no, not another beta FPV. AIO ruined. Oh, okay. On the first battery. Wait, no, it'll be the second battery. That's a little bit better. Power's okay. I'm so spoiled by the 65mm rigs. The regular 65mm rigs. I'll be interested to fly this outside. Oh, shit. Yeah, I mean, the only reason to do a build like this, to do this build, is to have something you can fly indoors and outdoors. I think this thing is going to be better outside. Oh my god, the runtime is so bad, though. What the hell? I think this thing's going to be a lot better outside. But here's the problem. The only batteries that you can run on this build are these 300s or the gigantic Weebleed 468s or whatever they are. Teddy, stop. And this runtime is awful. So that's a problem without a solution. Oh god, Teddy. Oh boy. Yeah, that's a bit of a deal breaker right there. Oof. It's certainly better on the biblades than tri-blades, but less than 2-minute runtimes are a total no-go for in my opinion. Yeah, I mean you could put lower. So if you got the 0603 26,000s, you'd get a little bit more runtime, but you would, you know, you're sacrificing power. And so, you know, the 65mm rigs, you get better power to rate ratio than this and more runtime. And when I say deal breaker, that's exactly what I mean, right? Like, there's really not much of a reason to do this because of the runtime issue. Fly's all right. Oh boy, rejected. Fly's all right. Power's pretty good actually. Yeah, power's pretty good. Response time is pretty good too. These 603 motors are super interesting, man. 603, right? So similar to 2207, less width on the bell and more height. And what you get from that is great response time. When you pair these motors with a regular 1.2-inch prop, the response time is like cocaine. Unfortunately, the 0702s are just a better. They're lighter and you get better runtime and they're just a better motor. These 603s really, this is the perfect prop for these 603s. But at this power level, this runtime is just not long enough. 2 minutes is just not enough. Sorry. I mean, maybe that's just me being spoiled or picky or whatever, but like 2 minutes is not enough time to like really get into it. Yeah. That's a shame. Because this flies very decent. And these motors are just a perfect match. Yeah, see, I can't get it to 2 minutes without really running the battery down a lot. That's a shame, man. This flies good. It's probably going to really mangle these batteries outside. That battery that I just ran is a battery that's only been cycled like 4 times. Those first 2 batteries were tattoos that haven't been beaten to death, but they've been cycled a bunch of times. Yeah, I mean, look, this is the problem with heavier 1S builds that are meant for 300 mAh batteries. The situation doesn't get much better when you build them for 450 mAh batteries because they're so goddamn heavy. So yeah, I mean, I guess if you do this build and you want to fly it outside, you're going to buy some of these giant 468, 465 mAh batteries and just try not to crash it. And then inside the house, you're just going to get very short run times. I almost Stevie Wondered it. It flies very decent. So much better than on the old school 35mm propellers, that's for sure. If you have one of these 65 Pro builds, get these props like now. These props make this flight performance wise totally viable. Runtime wise, they suck though. There is a tiny chance that if you put this onto 802s... Oh no, don't you fucking dare. Oh, I didn't need to disarm it. There is a chance that on an 802 motor, it would run a little bit cooler, and you would maybe get a little bit better runtime, but the problem is going to be that the 802 motor is going to be even heavier than these 603s. So this thing is going to be back up over 20 grams, which is going to hurt the runtime. Oh, God. So, yeah, man, other than runtime, this ain't bad. Oh, it went in. Let me slow down. Oh wait, where's the throttle expo? What did I set it at? 35? That's a little high. I have it set a little high. Hold on, let me dial it in. I didn't add much throttle expo in, so it doesn't make much of a difference, but it is still a little bit too high. No, I got it on 32. That's perfect. Ah, I thought I could not make a correction there. No! Oh, boy. I thought if I chilled out, I could maybe hit the 2-minute mark, but to no avail. When you have a rig that's pulling batteries down in less than 2 minutes, when you pull the battery off, you'll notice that it's hot. It's too hot. 2 minutes is too fast to drag a battery all the way down. You're putting too much stress on the battery. Man, it flies decent. It's heavy. It flies heavy for sure. But it is heavy. It flies good though. The propellers are light enough that the response time is great, and that masks how heavy the actual rig is. And so, yeah, like when you get into situations where you have to corner, it has that extra weight. It flies like a heavy rig, and it keeps sliding, right? And so, like, that's why the regular, the 1.2 inch prop rigs, it's one of the reasons that they're so much better, is that they're like 2+ grams lighter. And that makes a big difference. There's a little bit of prop wash there. I can probably dial the tune in a little bit. Let's see. Probably got it feels like it has some headroom. Let's see. Yep. So that prop wash will be gone. Yeah, it's gone. There's tuning, friends. That's all. That's why I say tuning is easy. It's because it is. Ooh, boy. Can I get this at least once? Hey! Stop! Oh, come on. Ah. Maybe it doesn't fly that great. That is me flying like a buffoon. There we go. Great. Let me slow down. Oh, God. Let me slow down and fly a little bit smoother. See if we can get past that 2-minute mark. Jesus Christ. Let me hit everything. How about that? I mean, true to form. I said it and then I did it. Fuck you! Go through there. These need more throttle expo. Wow, that one really. I'm in 40. Yikes. For comparison, here is a 1.2-inch prop. Not the super light rig. This is the 18 point whatever gram rig on the power. No, this is stupid. Oh, perfect. The middle of the road rig, 17.5 grams, 0702, 32,000 kV motors. The trans rights or I bite rig. Trans rights or I bites rig. Oh wait, that's the battery that I just ran. So yeah, if you've got a Meteor 65 Pro build, absolutely buy these props. 100%. This live stream was about the props, not about this build, right? I was doing the build out of necessity for the propellers. Yeah, these props are awesome. Hands down the best 35mm props. But do not do a 35mm propeller build. Boy, what a difference. Jesus. This feels like it's on fucking rails in comparison. I'm really struggling to adapt. Much lower up tilt too, which is a huge. Hold on. I have to push more up tilt into this, or I'm going to spend this entire battery just adjusting to the difference in up tilt. Okay, that should be better. Yeah, the Betaflight banana hammock mounts are kind of high up tilt. I wish they were a bit lower up tilt. Hey, I still fly like an idiot. Oh God, why? No! Oh, got it. Oh, fuck off. Ooh, buddy. I'm also now going from biblades to triblades. This has the, oh God! This has the HQ, old school, more pitchy triblades on it. The response time is just, I mean, the response time was fine on that rig, don't get me wrong. Actually, you know what? It's not the. I take it back. Sorry, it's not the response time. It's the weight. Like the difference in weight is just so evident. Like, you see these little corrections I'm having to make. I'm having to make them because this is so much lighter that I'd gotten used to that other rig. I'd gotten used to like really pushing that rig into the corners more. This, in comparison, is a fucking scalpel. And I'm actually pushing it too hard into the corners, and I'm having to open up the steering, basically, because I'm driving it too hard into the corner, and I'm like damn near hitting the inside of the couch. See that? And that's partly, a little bit of that is tri-blades versus biblades. Tri-blades are more grippy. But the majority of that is just the weight difference. You fucking bastard. Wow, what a difference. What a difference. Holy cow. Also, look at the runtime. Hey. Really? Can't give me one? Oh, fuck off. Boy, it is hard to adjust between these rigs. It's hard enough to adjust between, like, different KV and, like, different cameras, but then, like, different prop sizes, different all-up weights like this, oof, it is tough. You can really see the difference in weight there. The heavier rig was, like, carrying way back. I'm having to really push this thing a lot harder to cover that distance between these two cube gates. Oh, and I ran this battery down too low for a proper runtime comparison. But yeah, 2 minutes and 55. All right, there we go. That's pretty much exactly what I thought was going to happen. Although, I didn't think it was going to fly as good. Total honesty, I thought that I was going to hate it. But these props are nice and light, and they make really good thrust. And that's, you know, that's huge. We have not had propellers in the past that we could say that about. Props have come a long way with Tiny Whoops in the last few years. And it's super impressive, and it's really, really nice. Really nice to have that, to have some really solid propeller options, because much like tires on a car, propellers make the biggest difference in flight performance. And so propeller tech getting better and better and better is drastically improving the way that these things fly. And that's rad. That's super, super, super cool. So yeah, Gemfan, great job on these props. Everybody with a 65 Pro build, if you're not going to tear it down like you should, get these props. For sure. And so there you guys go. All of you that had asked me about these propellers, now you can shut up. Stop asking. Don't do a 65 Pro build, though. These props are not good enough to offset the... These props are no better than the 1.2 inch props that we have. These are as good. These are as good as the 1219s. As good as the Gemfan 1210s. I wouldn't necessarily say that these are as good as the HQ Ultralight 1.2s, the biblades or the tri-blades. But yeah. So there you go. Meteor 65 Pro. With a Matrix AIO. And hey, the Matrix AIO flies great. It held up. I took the UFL off. It didn't rip off the board. So that's a big thumbs up. We're going to do some more stuff with this Matrix AIO. I'll fly this outside. It's fine. I'll probably put another 6 batteries through this. But at 1:50 per battery, it's hurting my batteries. I will also run this on the big ass batteries outside for sure. That's gonna be it though. I'm not gonna leave this together. 1:50 runtime, like I said, it's gonna hurt my batteries, and that's just an annoyingly short amount of runtime. That's not enough runtime. Yeah. So, there you go. Thank you, Betaflight, for sending over the Meteor 75 Pro. Thank you to all of you for supporting me and keeping these streams going. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. I don't know what we're going to do on Wednesday. We'll figure it out. We'll do something cool. Oh, yeah, the 40mm props. That's what we're doing. We're going to put these 40mm HQ Ultralights on everything and see how much better stuff flies. So that'll be cool. Maybe I'm going to see if I can get the 2S Walksnail rig back up in the air by tearing apart forever the 1S 75mm Walksnail rig. And then we'll put these props on here, and I want to try to fly it in broad daylight, super bright sunlight, if we get a day of sun, to see if the jello goes away on these propellers. I'm hearing that these HQ ultralight biblades are better balanced than the Gemfan 1610 biblades. And so maybe these are the key to zero jello with Walksnail. Love you, bye! See if you can figure out what I'm flying in this clip. I don't even know what it is. I didn't label this file. CiottiFPV.com to support me. I do need your support. Thank you guys so much. I love you. Goodbye.